All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III here with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I hope you had an amazing week last week and weekend, actually. I want to be able to talk to you a little bit today about happiness in your life. So I had the opportunity to be able to travel last week. Many of you may have noticed that I put a series of book, As a Man Thinketh, on for the podcast, mainly because I took a week off. I took a week off to go stay at my place in Oahu, Hawaii. And I tell you, it was one of the best weeks I've had in a long, long time. And it was by default. It's funny that I say that because most people plan for a trip like that, and mine was kind of a last minute. And, it was just an amazing experience. It was something that allowed me to kind of step back, create some vision and clarity for the future. And what I mean by default is that I have, it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I purchased a penthouse in the Grand Islander in Oahu on Waikiki Beach. And I don't know if you've been there or not, but amazing place. It's become more of kind of city-like, but I like to travel up to the North Shore in Hawaii and get a lot of the tropical experience as well. But generally, I don't take that. If I'm being quite honest, I never really go stay at that penthouse. I don't, because I just I don't take the time off, and I find there's a lot better uses of my time and money and energy. And this year, ironically enough, I have forgotten to cancel the week that I had there. And so by default, I found myself going there. Now, I'm grateful beyond measure. I don't want anyone to think that I don't feel completely grateful for the opportunity, but that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. What I wanted to talk to you about is that when you remove yourself from your life and from the hustle and the grind, it allows you to get that time to create clarity in your life and to find the space that you need in order to optimize your life. And so we're going into the end of the year here, right? And many of you are thinking New Year's resolutions. Many of you are thinking about, how can I take my life to the next level? Where am I at? And you'll find yourself, I had a combination of a birthday at the beginning of the month, the end of the year, New Year's resolutions, around the holidays. I find myself asking myself those same questions. Where have I come so far this year? And I find myself at the end of the year measuring, where am I going? What have I accomplished? What do I want to accomplish? And where do I want to go? And I've been in the midst of really planning out some major goals and objectives for 2023, as you'll find out soon enough as we launch some amazing opportunities with the Academy and the Mastermind and Club Prosperity and some things that are going to be coming down the pipe next year. But this week away, actually, where most people would feel the grind and the push and the deadlines to move forward, it was a way to force myself into the space in order to, you've heard me say before, take action, but step back and allow space for attraction. This allowed me to spend that time really clarifying some of the priorities in life. And that's why I want to set you up sort of for your year-end planning by talking to you a little bit about your happiness level. I've had many programs over the course of the years about how to increase your health, wealth, and happiness. And I think sometimes happiness is this elusive thing that we all kind of look at and we all try to, put a finger on and pursue and chase. And it made me think a little bit more about some of the lessons I've learned from mentors in my life, because I've spent most of my life studying success, studying some of the greatest, most successful entrepreneurs, leaders, and individuals out there. And I want to talk to you today a little bit about some of the lessons that I've learned. And before I do that, let me give you the quote of the day. The quote of the day from the Daily Mastermind mobile app, which is a free app. Make sure you go download that, or if you see that on our Instagram or Facebook page. The quote is from Mark Cuban, and it says, "It doesn't matter how many times you failed, you only have to be right once." It doesn't matter how many times you failed, you only have to be right once. And that just leans towards this idea that you've got to continue to pursue your goals and dreams and objectives, because eventually you'll get it. Eventually you'll get it. So let me talk to you today about success versus happiness. And it's this idea that we've talked about in the past, and I might do a couple of episodes on this, but the idea of what is success and what is happiness. And there's a couple things that I've learned from my mentors, and the first is that success does not equal happiness. Success does not equal happiness. They're very, I don't know how you say it, maybe mutually exclusive, meaning you can have one without the other and vice versa. And one does not guarantee the other. Success does not guarantee your happiness. And I went through a lot of my life kind of chasing success in order to create that happiness and fulfillment, like many of you do. But the second thing I learned is that happiness and success are different emotions. Happiness and success are actually, think about that, different emotions that you can generate now. You can feel successful. You can feel happy. You can do different things to feel success or to feel happiness. And so I really want to talk to you about this idea of happiness, but the best way to do that is to talk about success first. And what is it? Now, if you haven't already, you can go over to the dailymastermind.com website and find a blog that I wrote called When Success... Well, actually, I think the title of it was When Failure is Greater Than Success. When Failure is Greater Than Success. And it's based around an ebook that one of my mentors, Robert Stuberg, wrote. And it starts with really the story of my life and how over time I had been initially chasing success as I was younger in order to create this ideal life that I wanted to have. And as I went through life and through my career, I accomplished those goals. I mean, I was able to make more and more money, have better cars and houses and travel and lifestyle and all those things. And as I was creating more and more, it really didn't create that happiness and fulfillment. I felt like something was missing. So I shifted towards trying to just do things that made me happier. And I thought or felt that happy was, I'm going to travel once a month. I'm going to have a nicer car. I'm going to take more time off and things like that. And it didn't quite do it either. And it took a real significant, experience in my life. And you can kind of read about that in the blog article that pushed me towards this idea that success can't really be creating your happiness. And I had talked with my mentor, Robert Stuberg, and he pointed out a blog article he had wrote, which later then turned into an ebook called Success Does Not Equal, the article that he had was When Failure is Greater Than Success. And what it really talked about is how you define failure and how you define success, and how success in what you're chasing may not give you the growth that you need that failure can. And so even when you set a goal of happiness, and I know you've experienced this, even when you set a goal of being happy, it doesn't necessarily happen. And that's because the truth is happiness doesn't like to be pursued. And I realize that. I have a quote, a really famous quote that I like. It's my most favorite quote by Jim Rohn. And it goes, success is not to be pursued, it's to be attracted by the person you become. And on occasion, I'll replace that with happiness and say the same thing. Happiness is not to be pursued. It's to be attracted by the person you become. And the answer is in that quote. The answer is that happiness comes in the progress of creating the best version of yourself. So let's talk about that for just a second here. Let's talk about happiness and how to drill down on happiness and what you can do for happiness. There are ways that you can find and create happiness, but you've got to ask yourself some pretty critical questions. The first question you have to ask yourself is, what do you want? What do you want? See, when I ask that question to a lot of people, they'll say, well, more money, more car, better house, better lifestyle, more recognition, more love, more whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, most things that you want, you only want because they're going to create that emotion that you're looking for. And most of us, if you really dig deep and you really think about it, just want to be happier. We want to be more fulfilled. And so you have to break down truly what it is you want and have that understanding to begin. And then you have to ask yourself this question. Is there a difference between pleasure and happiness? Is there a difference between pleasure and happiness? See, a lot of people just mix those two things together and they're not the same thing. Pleasure cannot be sustained. Pleasure is that short-term gratification you get from eating bad or from not working out or sleeping in or doing the things you want rather than the things that bring you greater joy. Because generally, short-term pleasure will rob you of your long-term happiness. And so you have to ask yourself, is there a difference in what I'm doing? Is it seeking pleasure or truly happiness? And then third, ask yourself this question. Will more achievement and success actually make you happy? Will more achievement and success actually make you happy? Because the answer most likely, if you really truly think deep enough, is that no. That it won't make you happier because they're not the same thing. Success and happiness are not the same thing. And so that leaves you with this question of where does happiness truly come from and how can you get more of it? Where do you really get happiness and how can you get more of it? And I want to share with you, and I'm going to do it tomorrow just for the sake of time because I wanted to get your mind thinking about this the first of the week. I'm going to share with you tomorrow this formula that one of my mentors, Robert Stuberg, came up with. And the formula, he calls it the Get Happy Formula. It's an acronym, GET, the Get Happy Formula. And this is something that we can really talk about tomorrow, because you're going to find that happiness is an emotion that you can define and you can create a plan for, and then you can execute it. Happiness is not something you find or chase or seek. Happiness is something that you define and you create the plan for, and then you execute on, and you do. Because happiness is just a state of mind. And the happiness state of mind that you're looking for is completely controlled by three critical components that we'll talk about in this formula. The components being your genetics, your environment, and your thinking. And so tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about this Get Happy formula, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can define and create control over those critical areas of your life that create happiness. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. But for now, I want to encourage you to really get inside your thoughts, your life this week, to determine what it is you want to really do, what you want to create. Those questions that I talked to you about, what do you really want in life? And is it happiness or pleasure? And is achievement or success going to get you there? And how do you create more happiness in your life? That's what we're going to talk about a little bit more tomorrow. That's my message for today. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow as we drill down on the Get Happy formula. Have a great day.